keep your promises to yourself. You made a promise to yourself when nobody was around, when nobody was looking in the quiet calm of your home. You looked in the mirror and you said, I don't like the way I look and feel. I don't like the direction I'm headed. And so you said, all right, I'm going to change.
I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer, here with Carrie Thompson. Carrie, sometimes you miss a couple of them, or sometimes I insert podcasts that are solo by myself. So I'm glad you're back with us.
Thank you. Although I have to say, I always love listening to your podcasts just so everyone knows, because I think a lot of people can relate, in the chicken barn while I'm shoveling chicken poo. And I've got Cristy in this ear right here, Cristy in this ear. And I'm like, yeah. And Brandon goes over, my husband, and he stops and he's like, did you need something? I'm like, no, it's Cristy. She's right here. I'm listening to the podcast. He's like, okay. He thinks I'm like talking to him or the chickens because he's deaf. So,
I do it too. Wednesday mornings, early. Our podcast comes out every week. And I always do one ear with my AirPod, and then I can kind of listen to whatever's going on. And I love it. I mean, it's like, it just reminds me of what we believe. And it reminds me of kind of what I'm striving towards. And definitely, you guys, today is no exception. Today's podcast, and we're both kind of smirking. We're both kind of laughing here because the podcast is called Word of the Year Comeback. And I was telling Carrie, I was like, Carrie, actually, you came up with the idea of doing a podcast about the word of the year being being a comeback. And I said to you, I was like, I hate when people come up with word of the year. I think it's like you said, prosperity or, peace. I'm like, oh, gag me with the entire plate setting. I don't like that. But then when you said, how about the word of the year for 2022 is comeback? I was like, oh, sis, that's good. That matches perfectly.
I hate on social media. I'm with you, Cristy, when they're like, they look at your picture and then they're like, Carrie's word of the year is joy. Carrie's year of the word is peace. I'm like, come on, this is rando, because I could do it again and get a different word of the year until I find one I like. Like, who's going to pick bitterness? We're unforgiveness. Year of the word of the year, unforgiveness. Oh, yay. It's my inspo. I'm going to do a wall of my word of my year. So I do think that people get carried away with the ideas of what is your word for the year. I do think it's great too. And Cristy, you and I were just talking about, projecting what you want, manifesting what you want. And I think it's great to have a focus. Cristy and I just aren't really special words of the year. I'm not going to get it tattooed. I already have other things tattooed on my wrist. So we're just not those kinds of people. But with all that our world has gone through these last 2 years and still going on, the pandemic and the changes in political things and the changes all over the world. If you're listening to me in a different country, you guys have had changes. I mean, do you know how much, this is just an aside, but do you know how much groceries have gone up? They're supposed to go up another. So, I mean, the cost of living has gone up drastically. We're in the middle of what could look like a major inflation issue. Right. And yeah, so we're kind of in a mess, I feel like. And so I feel like hopefully it's going to get better in 2022, but Cristy, with everything we've been through as a society, as a business with Code Red, just as a human race, as Americans, I feel like it's time for a comeback. And that's why, even though, again, we're not big fans of peace, joy, I think that this is a great word for 2022.
I was just looking back on my Instagram highlights, the little round highlights that at the time we're recording this, that's what who could change. It could change anytime. But I stored some stories from when Miles and I went. been to Spain, I think 3 times, but this was my 3rd time to Spain. And we went in September of 2019. And I was looking back on all my stored highlight stories. And it was like, oh, and I said, oh, we're at the Charles de Gaulle airport, in Paris. And I'm looking around and I'm like, and here I am holding my phone up and nobody had on masks. And it was so weird to watch, like going into old churches and going into old concerts or going into concerts and going into different things when we were touring through Spain for 3 weeks. And it was so weird to look back and nobody had a mask on and nobody was, I said to Miles, I said, look at this highlight reel. I said, we had no clue what was getting ready to happen. We had no clue that our entire world as we knew it would be completely turned upside down. And that's really what happened in 2020 and 2021. And to share something personal with you guys, Code Red has gone through a lot of changes. We've had staff turnover. We've had coaches leave. We've had coaches come on. We've had, Carrie and I seem to be the only constant. Carrie and I and Andrea, we're the only constant in this in our company. And the company has gone through fluctuations, and 2021 was a little bit rough. It was rough for me mentally. It was rough because, I got real sick and I had to make a comeback from that. And so when Carrie and I were I think you talked to me about this on New Year's Eve, sis. You said, I just want you to know how much I love you because sorry.
Oh, I do.
I
love her very much. And I just wanted to give her a New Year's in case like Jesus came back at midnight. She would know that I loved her. I always thought Jesus used to come back every New Year at midnight. I don't know why I thought that. I'd be like, they'd be like 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. I'd be like, and I hear that trumpet sound. I don't know. I think it's our religious upbringing. I always I would close my eyes. Like, is that Jesus coming? I don't know why he would wait till
what a day that will be. Well, I'm sorry. I got a little choked up here just thinking about the message that you left for me on New Year's Eve. You're like, sis, you know what? It's been a rough year and it's going to be okay. It's going to be better. 2022 is going to be our comeback year.
It is. And while you're thinking about that, while you're drying your eyes, it is, Cristy, even I look at us personally, not even professionally. So I look at Cristy personally, her going through her sickness. We reformatted Code Red. Like we reformatted it head to toe. So not only was it a challenging year with people maybe not wanting to get healthy, people not, but social media has gone so far south with its censorship that Cristy felt the need to reformat Code Red, as probably everyone listening to this podcast knows. Also, on top of that, my husband, Brandon, went through 4 back surgeries, and Cristy came out for 2 of them and helped. My mom, I had help from my family. So don't feel sorry for us. I'm just saying it has been 2021 was rough. When I went to bed at 9:30 and woke up the next morning and Brandon said, Happy New Year. And I rolled over in bed and I kind of looked at him and I said, that was a hard year. And he goes, yep. He goes, but we're still married. And I go, yay. We're still, but that's what I told Cristy. I go, it's been a hard year for you, your health, me dealing with Brandon and reformatting and
Miles'
moving.
kidney cancer.
Miles had a horrible nephrectomy right at the beginning of last year. So, we've had a lot of things happen. I told Cristy, but we're still standing. Not only just Code Red, but I love you. You're still my best friend and my sister. So who can say that? Who can work with a family member as long as you and I've worked together and just made it work? So we made it. So I know people listening, I know 2021 was tough. I know 2020 was tough, but man, you're still standing. And I think I just need to say congratulations to everybody because it has not been easy.
And I want to bring up the fact that you actually, a lot of you, because we've sent out trophies, we've sent out the 100-pound trophy, and we've sent out many, I send out probably 6 to 12 goal packets every week. Every Friday I send out goal packets. I have a spreadsheet and it auto populates in my spreadsheet. I pull it open and then I personally write the goal package. And so there are many of you listening. You hit goal and lost a ton of weight in 2021. And so we're so proud of you. But the unfortunate reality is that A lot of you didn't. A lot of you struggled and fell. In fact, I did a poll on Instagram on the day after Christmas, and I said, did you stay on track with your diet? And it said yes. You know, like one answer was yes, I stayed on track. The other one was I effed up big time. That's what it said. And two-thirds of the answers, and I had thousands of replies. Two-thirds said I effed up big time, and 1/3 said so people, unfortunately, the majority of the people that we've dealt with have struggled this year, and it's caused us to have to create better programs and new programs. How can we help you more? I mean, but we want to recognize those of you who did do really well this year.
And if you messed up, just so you know, like Cristy and I don't judge you. We just want you to jump on, on our private network and be a part of taking your life back. I don't care what happened to you with your weight. I do care, but I don't care where you are right now. We just want to encourage you. If you're listening right now and you're just like, oh, I've moved backwards. It's okay. Let's just move forward together. And we've done many podcasts on that. So those of you that did keep losing your weight, good job. It has just been a struggle. It's been a hard thing. But the one thing I want to tell you is that no matter what you went through in 2020, no matter what you went through in 2021, you have the potential to have an amazing comeback story. That could be your marriage. That could be your relationship with your kids. That could be professionally. That could be your life and getting yourself. It could be spiritually. It could be whatever it is you want to do. You have that potential. That's never gone. I started teaching at the time of this recording. I started teaching a silver sneakers exercise class. And Cristy gave me some advice since she's an amazing trainer. We all forget about that. Everyone forgets about that. But we forget that Cristy's amazing. And Cristy said, I don't care how old they are. They don't get off the hook. And I love that. They still have to exercise. They still got to work hard. They still got to move their muscles and their arms and their legs. So I don't care what happened to you in 2020 and 2021. You have the potential. You don't get off the hook. You still have the potential to make a comeback this year.
And what I like to say when somebody says, and I get this a lot on DMs, we get this in our private network, we get this comments, and we get all this all the time, which I really love when people say, I got off track, I gained some weight back, but I'm back now. I don't want to know why you got off track for the reason that you think. I don't want to know why just to know why. I want you to tell me why, because I want to see that you identify why you got off track, what happened, what was the problem, and how can we prevent it moving forward. I don't want you to repeat if you made mistakes with your health in 21, moving forward into 22. How can we make sure that does not happen again? And like I tell people in maintenance, your weight going up in maintenance is not the problem. It's how quick does it come right back down, and make sure we identify the mistakes and the problems and that you don't repeat them.
So I think just to kind of take what you said and kind of unpack it for a broader audience is, number one, the very first step of a comeback is to, no matter what area of your life you're doing a comeback in, is to, number one, identify how things have gone awry. How have things gotten off track? So if we're talking about a relationship with a family member, I'll use a mother-in-law, like you guys that have a bad relationship. It's not going well. You're not communicating. How did this go wrong? So I'm going to write down, I want to have a better relationship with Betty, my mother-in-law. How did it get off track? I started getting offended about little things. I started taking what she said too seriously. Like, own your part. I started having expectations that she wasn't aware of. Write it down. We have to know not only how did you get off track, but how are you going to stay on track? Because part of them is, like Cristy just said, part of understanding and making progress is knowing where it went wrong and what are you going to do different. I used to say that all the time to my nursing students, Cristy. I would say, fail forward. Okay, so you failed. So you drew up the wrong medication in the wrong syringe. Okay, what did we do wrong? How are we going to fix it for next time? So you're going to write on that piece of paper, I am going to let go of offenses right when they come up with Betty. I'm going to address my concerns with her immediately and not wait. So you have actionable steps, and that is what puts you on the path to a comeback. You don't get a comeback by just being like, come back. I mean, that's not going to work. Yeah. You have to have steps.
Gary, do you remember that part of, I don't know if you're a fan of The Office. I've watched every single episode, but
know you have.
one time Michael Scott was having money problems and he stood in the middle of his office and he said, "I declare bankruptcy." And so one of the Oscar from accounting goes, "Michael, that's not how bankruptcy works. You can't just yell it out." So the same thing. I mean, you can't just say, you have to put steps in place. So step one is identifying where you went wrong and how you want to move forward. Step two, guys, is going to be cleaning out your environment. So, if you are allowing sugar to stay in your house, that's a big code red no-no. If you've got soda, if you've got alcohol, if you've got sugar, if you've got processed food, you're going to have to clean out that environment. Cause environment is stronger than willpower. It is. And that means maybe you need to have a talk with your partner about him or her coming your way a little bit. Well, he wants the Teddy Grahams and he wants the red vines and he wants the wine. Maybe he can put it in a Rubbermaid bin and store it in the garage or the man cave or someplace you can't get into it. It's got to be some give and take here, but you got to get your environment to where it's set up for success. Step three would be to get in some sort of a community. Get in some sort of program. I don't care if you do Whole30 and they have their own community. I don't care if you do the Daniel fast. I know we used to, come on, churchgoers. You guys remember that. And you've got a church group of people that are going to come around you. Community is the biggest determining factor of you keeping the weight off, losing the weight and keeping it off and maintaining this lifestyle.
And if it's a personal relationship you're trying to work on, there is no shame in getting help with those personal relationships. I've never understood the stigma. This is so interesting. And this is a little off topic, but I find it interesting, Cristy, is that Brandon's getting ready to retire from the military. We've been talking about that process, and he's never sought out help for his PTSD because that was frowned upon when he was a young soldier. The Army might not like me saying that, but it's true. So he never, ever got it documented that he struggled with some areas of PTSD. I mean, you can't go to war as many times as my husband has and not have some PTSD. I mean, I have PTSDs from chickens dying. Okay, it's not as bad, I recognize, as going to Iraq, but I'm just saying, like, PTSD is very common. So Cristy, why is it if I'm struggling with my relationship with my husband, or you're struggling with a relationship with a family member, why do we not seek help? It's the same thing as seeking community help, signing up for Weight Watchers, signing up for a Whole30 group, signing up for your Daniel fast group at the church, signing up to go to the gym. It's the same idea, but we kind of shun the mental health aspect, and it's too bad. So if you need help and counseling and someone to help you, we come from a family of counselors. Like, get in there and get somebody to talk with you, so you can take the desire in your heart to have a comeback and make it a reality.
And whatever program you follow will probably, I mean, I can only speak for Code Red. I haven't done a lot of other programs, but I imagine if they're successful, whatever program you choose, I mean, you're listening to this, so maybe it'll be Code Red, but they should have a step-by-step process to hold you accountable. They should have you got to have a tracking system, and you got to have some sort of accountability system. And you have to have a time where you meet together with like-minded individuals. You have to have a place that you can go to get tips and tricks and help. We've talked about this, and Code Red can provide that for you. And probably Weight Watchers does too. And probably Whole30 and probably your keto group and probably your gym, they do those things as well. So whatever path you take, you do need to follow their program for success. We have proven success. So of course we're here for you if you choose us, but you've got to follow that process. You can't halfway do it. You can't kind of clean up the house and then still keep one bottle of wine. You can't recovering drug addicts don't keep drugs in their cupboards. And so you can't kind of go to one counseling session, but you actually committed to a 5-pack. And so come on, like, you don't kind of do it or don't do it.
I love how, I think it's Chris Cavallini. Doesn't he say your goals don't give a crap about your excuses? Is that him? Or
I know that Marley says commitment doesn't care how you feel.
I don't want to go to the gym some days. Okay. That's not true. Not very many days. I really like going to the gym. I don't want to wake up, get out of bed and make my bed every morning. But if I don't, when I go up there, it looks crappy. So your goals don't care how you feel. And listen up, rebels, this might come across as harsh, and I'm not sorry for that. I'm not sorry, but I don't care how much weight you've gained. I don't care if you hate your husband or your wife. I don't care what your situation is. There is always a way to improve. There is always a way out. There is always the door. There is always, you cannot use your age, your situation, your financial place, whatever's going on with your kids, whatever's going on with your job. You create the life you want. You're not in a box. You're not in a prison. You create the life you want. You design the life you want. Look at Cristy and I. I mean, are our lives perfect? Of course not. But Cristy has a home she wants. Look at her little backgrounds, you guys, with all those little things. Isn't that so cute? I mean, she designed that. She worked hard for that. I just saw a flock of guineas off to my left here flying. I bought all those guineas. That's why there are guineas flying in my periphery. So we have designed the life we want, and you can too. I don't want to hear your excuses because I've probably been there. Trust me, Cristy, of all of us, have been there, and she still managed to design a life that she wants. So there's no excuse for you not to have a comeback.
You're not going to get this from wishing. You ain't going to get this from wishing.
No.
And if you can't keep your word to yourself, then what can you do? You at least keep your promises to yourself. You made a promise to yourself when nobody was around, when nobody was looking, in the quiet calm of your home. You looked in the mirror and you said, I don't like the way I look and feel. I don't like the direction I'm headed. And so you said, all right, I'm going to change. And then you turn and reach for the Keebler Elf cookies. So you're not keeping your own word to yourself. Keep your own promise to yourself. Don't let yourself down. It's one thing, it's so funny to me. I see people taking care of their kids constantly, and then just don't even, and we've done this before, and it's so basic, but they can't even do the basics of taking care of themselves. They don't wash their hair and they don't shave their legs, but by golly, their kids have got perfectly clean clothes and their hair is done. My gosh. But of all things, keep your word to yourself.
Cristy, and I think one other thing I think we need to bring up to the Rebel community right now is that your comebacks don't have to be big. Okay. Let me give you an example. They don't have to be like, I lost 100 pounds and I joined a fitness competition and I got first place all in 2022. It's that, come on now. Now you might do that. You might be Cristy. Hello. But maybe for you, maybe you listening right now, maybe it's just you saying, I have diabetes. I want to lower my blood sugar, my postprandial blood sugar. That means after a meal. So I'm going to get up after dinner every night and I'm just going to go outside and walk for 10 minutes. And if you do that every night, you are making a comeback and I'm proud of you. It could be, I can't even stand my husband. I don't even want to lay in the bed next to him. But you know what? Every morning when I get up in 2022, I'm going to give that man a hug and I'm going to kiss him on the cheek and tell him how much I love him, no matter what. Like that's a comeback. Do not negate those little things. If you are eating peanut M&Ms every night at midnight, you wake up, go downstairs and get a handful and go back to bed. If you stop doing that in 2022, that is progress. That is a comeback. And I'm proud of you. So they don't have to be big, miraculous things like, my whole house is organized and I started $1 million business. It doesn't have to be that, guys. Right. Your comeback can be on whatever scale. I'm going to go to church every time I can in 2022. I'm going to attend every Wednesday Bible study with those sweet old ladies down the road. I'm going to make sure that I get myself a massage at least once a month in 2022. It could be something like that. And we're not talking about resolutions. We're talking about you overcoming challenges, overcoming difficulty, and you making a personal comeback in whatever area of your life you choose that to be.
I wrote a book called New Year's Resolutions Suck because this is exactly what people do. They try to overload themselves with unrealistic goals. And if you can just improve, if you can just not buy the peanut M&Ms from Costco next time you go, that is such a huge improvement. Yep. And we are so proud of you. And that's a step in the right direction. It doesn't have to be, can it just be one thing, two things at the very most? And people always, they always say this whole thing, well, I'm an all or nothing person. I'm an all or nothing, but how's that been working for you? It ain't been working. Yeah. So can you just do two? Can you just commit to 3 Code Red water bottles every day? And maybe turning your phone off and going to bed 30 minutes early. Can you do that consistently? I don't think that and I would encourage you to do something that's quantifiable that you can actually track instead of saying, I like when you said, try to go to church as much as I can. I like to say, try to go to church once a month this year and make it an actual number that's trackable instead of, because as I know, we talk ourselves out of things. Well, I'm going to try to catch one of Cristy's lives. I'm going to try to catch her live. Well, no, how about you get on one of Cristy's lives every week, one a week. And I do 3 a week. How about one a week? And so let's get a number out there and get it to where you have that in your mind and that's trackable. And then you're focused on it.
Yeah. Even as I said that, Cristy, I was like, nursing goals are specific, S, M, measurable, A, attainable, and T, timely. SMART goals. So pick SMART goals. Make sure that you say in 2022, I'm going to attend more Sundays than I don't attend, or I'm going to go twice a month and anything else is gravy. Yeah. Christy's right. As it came out of my mouth, I was like, not a good goal, not a good goal, not a good goal.
But the comeback does not, like Carrie said, does not need to be this whole huge thing and you get written up in the Idaho Statesman because of it, Navy SEAL gets run over by a train, but comes back to learn how to walk 6 months later. Like that's a huge comeback. And that's great. And that's newsworthy, but It does not have to be, because the reality is that 99% of all of our lives are not like what we see on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Nobody lives like that. I lived in New York City for 5 years. And I'm telling you, nobody lives like Carrie Bradshaw and Samantha. And, they don't live like that on Sex and the City. That is just not the reality. So the reality is most of us live normal, ordinary, boring lives. So don't try to make it some big catastrophic. It doesn't count unless it is. No. What can you improve on? That is a comeback.
Cristy and I both listen to Joyce Meyer. Have you been listening to her talk about joy in everyday life? She goes, our lives are, you do laundry, somebody else gets it dirty. You have to do more laundry. You buy groceries, you cook food, the kids eat it. You buy more groceries, you cook food. She's like, everyday life is just this. And I'm like, yes, it's the everyday. But what do you want to get a handle on in your life in 2022? What do you want to be victorious over? Oh, that's an old church term. Yes, victorious over. I'm sorry, you guys. Some of you had like Joel Osteen flashbacks. I'm not trying to give you guys flashbacks from your name it and claim it, blab it and grab it days. All my Pentecostals, give me an amen right there. But what can you get a handle on? What do you want to work on becoming victorious over? Making a comeback in. I don't care what it is. I would love to see the people that listen to this. Cristy, do they have the ability to type in something?
Yeah, if you're watching on podcasts, can you comment below and tell us what you're gonna overcome this coming year?
Yes, Cristy, I'm gonna go to the gym almost every day. Wait a minute, I do that. I gotta pick something better. I have a couple of things, but it is the year of the comeback. It is the year to say, yes, 2020 was hard. 2021 was hard. We had a lot of financial changes in our world. We had job changes. Our healthcare system is stressed to the max. Our own bodies, everything with COVID, but we are going to be stronger and move forward. I love how Chris Geffen said it. He did a post on his Instagram and I read it. He said, in 2022, I'm going to be harder to kill. And I love that because he got super sick this last year with some pneumonia. And I love it. And he's a super healthy guy. I'm going to be harder to kill this year. And so how can we make you harder to kill this year? We want to be a part of that at Code Red.
Yeah, absolutely. We love that, you guys. And we love you and we're here for you. And the Code Red Network is a private community that's at the time we're recording this, we have right around 12,000 people in our community. We're there for you. We have programs, we have tons and tons of free content for you, a one-stop shop where you can get all the inspiration, all the support, education, the love. You got everything you need right there off of social media, where you don't have to have a Facebook account or some sort of account. It's free. And you can come and join us. We would love to wrap our arms around you. We have programs if you're grieving. We have programs if you have emotional eating problems. We have programs if you are trying to get in shape. We have programs if you're in maintenance, programs if you're in weight loss, programs if you are in absolute rock bottom and you cannot even barely lift your head. I have a program for that called the 7-Day Total Body Reset. And so there is something for everybody in the Code Red Network. So we would love for you to come. Let us help you with your comeback, because It can be in your business. It could be in your marriage. It could be spiritual. It could be health. It could be fitness. It could be all kinds of things, but we can help you with all of that.
Yeah, we are here for you. And the network is amazing. I go in there and I'm encouraged every time I'm in the network.
CodeRedLifestyle.com/APP. I spell that, Carrie, because when I just say app, people just put AP.
Oh,
yes.
AP reminds me of anatomy and physiology from nursing school.
Yes.
So that's what it reminds me of.
Yes. Yeah. I think I had to take it twice and I still barely passed it. So we love you guys. And we're glad you joined us on this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. Join us on the next episode and we'll see you in the Code Red Network. Have a good one.
Come back. Come back.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you're not subscribed already, please be sure to do that right now. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could do me a quick favor and rate and review this podcast. That would be just so helpful. Speaking of help, let me know if I can help you. Go to CodeRedLifestyle.com, check out my programs, and see what we can do for you. Until next time, Rebel on.